Our coach is nice and cool despite being on a 30 amp circuit. Why? Well, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rooftop air conditioners going on a 30 amp service. And if you haven't seen my prior video about a dual 30 to 50 amp adapter, today's your day, because I'm going to walk you through the steps to test that outlet to make sure it's safe for you to use and enjoy having dual 30 amp services supplying your coach with 240 volts and lots of power to run all 4 air conditionings. So stick around. Okay, thanks for joining me. I'm Steve, and I appreciate you watching. And today I'm going to follow up to my first video, which was done a while back, showing you how to connect the Y adapter into 2 30 amp outlets at an RV park, combining it into the 50 amp plug. Now, as I've discussed before, that doesn't give you true line 1 and line 2 of 50 amps each side. What it does is give you line 1 and line 2 both at 30 amps per side. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you can't be as, shall we say, eager to run all of your appliances at the same time. And in fact, if you do so, you may pay the price with blowing a breaker at the box or tripping your Progressive EMS, or maybe worse, on your coach. But with proper precautions and procedures and a little bit of electrical wattage, amperage awareness, life is great. So without getting too far into the weeds and making this a long, hour-long video about every single appliance, what you can and can't do, I am just going to run through an overview of kind of a typical arrangement. It's not super hot outside right now, but I've purposely turned on all 4 of our air conditionings, and this coach is very similar to other coaches that have mock air rooftop ACs, which draw about 12 to 16 amps at the most. But you have to be careful for one big thing about most electric motors is when they first fire off, they're going to draw sometimes 2 to 3 times the amount of amperage. So you really have to watch that. That's why I'm kind of giving a disclaimer on this as to your mileage may vary. This may not work for every coach and every appliance and every air conditioner, certainly, because those things, as they age, they tend to draw a lot more amperage on startup. But this is an example. This coach is 10 years old. The rooftop airs have never been replaced. And so they're pretty modest with their power consumption. So let's just go through what I do. And that kind of gives you a foundation on how you can treat your own coach. Now, I did some cheaters here. What I did was I monitored which air condition unit was on which leg. And that becomes important because as you start using other appliances, you're going to have to monitor. In this case, the Silverleaf panel allows me to go to, for example, my DC power going into my house batteries. The inverters are right now floating at 24 amps. That has to be taken in consideration. But right now, my leg 1 and 2 are running right at 27 amps. That is the ultimate threshold. You shouldn't get above that. And if you do, you may pay the price. But I'm doing this kind of as a test for you on this video. And I'm going to take and turn off 2 of the air conditioners. Generally, I'll do during the day. I'll turn off the bed and the bath. So I'm going to do that right now. Keep in mind, these are both running about 27 amps, which is dead on what I would expect, about 13 amps per side. And I have all the lights on in the coach, but they are all LEDs, so they take virtually no power whatsoever. So I am going to turn off the bath and the bedroom. What that means is that the galley and salon, the galley runs on leak. Sorry about the cute little flags, but hey, they work. L1 is galley, L2 is salon, and by the indicator of the frost symbol, those are both on. You can see the bed and the bath are off. We're going to dance over to the AC, and you can see my load's down half. It's 15 and 14, plenty of overhead to run a lot of other things, even your cooktop. But you have to be careful because, for example, if I turn on the microwave, it could take it could take 15 amps in itself, and that would put you over limit on those. If you bump up against 30 just for a second or two, that breaker on the box may hold, but aged parks, no guarantee. They may pop just like that. One thing I'll caution you for, and this is coach independent, obviously, your AquaHot is great, but it's got to be the diesel AquaHot. If you run the electric AquaHot, that's a no bueno. That is not going to work at all. On the same token, if you run the main water pump, now that on a Newell is a headhunter. It's the Mach 5 headhunter, and when it hits well over 10 amps. So you have to be careful, because a startup on your air conditioner and it pulls 20 amps on startup, and that same time that water pump kicks on with 10 amps of surge, you're coming close to popping that breaker outside. So the best thing to do is, what I'll do is I'll make sure that I'm dancing that fine line. I'll keep maybe my pressure pot charged up with the main water pump when I'm going to flush the toilets. And otherwise, what I'll do is I'll keep the auxiliary water pump, which is only a 12-volt pump, and it'll run enough to keep you pressurized in your system. It's not robust enough to run anything else, solid flow like washing machine or flushing your toilets, but it's perfect for sinks and various tasks. Everything else stays off. If you're thinking you're going to be cooking, doing a microwave, cooktop, something that's going to take a lot more energy. For example, my coffee maker, that's in the morning anyway, so generally I don't have the air conditioners going in the morning. But if I did, I would watch my panel, and I'd come over here and I'd see what my amperage is. And then if you're really diligent, what you could do is find out, with everything turned off, turn your big appliance on, whether it's your hair curler or your washing machine, or, well, the washing machine, if it's going to take 240, it's going to draw from both legs. But you're going to have to see what each of these loads take, and then maybe make a flag for yourself, or just a chart to say, okay, well, my coffee is on leg 1 and it draws 10 amps. And you might just want to make sure that you don't have any of your air conditioners on that same leg kicking on and off, and certainly not your water pump. All right, hopefully that makes sense. That's all I want to discuss about kind of pseudo load management. Just know that with dual 30 amp service, this coach is perfectly comfortable. I can keep 3 air conditioners on. I can keep 4 on if I want, but just as a safeguard, I keep 2 air conditioners on, and if we keep our dog inside the coach, I'll keep the pocket door closed to close off the back of the coach. And so we've got 2 air conditioners keeping the front of the coach cool. By all means, it's perfect. And then what I'll do, and this is something that you should consider when you have animals especially, is in this situation, always keep your AutoGen enabled. So if for some reason we do blow a breaker on the post or pop our Progressive EMS box and our coach loses power, the generator is going to kick on, and that'll reconnect the air conditioners, and that can save the coach from getting super hot while you're away and lose power. All right, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to go and grab the splitter, and I'm going to walk over to a site that has dual 30 amps. I'm going to take my multimeter, and I'm going to show you how to test those 2 outlets to make sure they're correctly wired so they're safe to use your splitter. All right, so here we go. All right, so here we are at a dual 30 amp post. Have my multimeter set to AC voltage, and make sure everything's up on the display okay. I'm going to set it right here. This is not a class on multimeters, obviously, but it just goes to show you kind of the process in which you can test. So you're going to test each one of these 30 amps independently. So you've got your hot, your neutral, and your ground, hot, neutral, and ground. Sometimes they're labeled, sometimes they're not, but I'm going to insert my probe in there, and it reads 118. Check the ground, pretty good, 118, the same thing. I'm going to check the right, hot and neutral, 118, same thing, hot and ground. Anytime you get anything variant to this, then you should be cautious. but you should be checking to make sure you've got energy coming out of the hot, you got a ground, you got a neutral. Now, you should not be seeing any current going across these neutral lines or the ground lines. They should be 0. Here's what you're looking for though. You should be having 2 phases here of 118 circuit, should give you 240. You should see around 240 on your display. If there's anything different or they negate each other, you're looking at something that's in the same phase, and that's not good. And right now, my meter is 0. So that means no bueno. Now, if you have the advantage of, I know I'm coming to this post later on, got a problem. I can't run dual 30 amps. So I'm going to take this over to an adjacent site and I'm going to show you what it should look like. All right, so let's go ahead and safely disconnect this. Okay, let's walk over to the other site real quick. Okay, so here we are on a 30 amp site, dual 30 amps, and let's just go through the same drill. Both breakers are on, and let's check one. Okay, that's a 117, could be a lot better. 123, check my voltage across the grounds, across the neutrals. Now here's the gold right here. Between these two hot legs, we should get around 240. All right, there's a usable site. 240 if they're out of phase, and that's what you're looking to do. So that post over there isn't going to work for us. So that's why it's important to test. That's why it's important to know your actual park. And this is by all means not a guarantee that you're not going to have any problems. This is something you have to take upon yourself. So we're going to walk back over to your site, and I'm just going to plug in my Progressive box, and we'll see if it gives us any indication of a problem. Now, it's going to be really hard for you to see the display on the Progressive, but knowing that we've got an issue, I'm going to plug my Progressive box in, as you normally should do anyway, just to be protected. Okay? I'm going to have a hard time even seeing it. Now, if you're not familiar with a Progressive EMS, this is a PT50. It's the outboard model of their 50 amp protector. I recommend running something like this absolutely all the time. And it has protected me and saved me on a couple occasions. It does have a lengthy startup time. Don't hold me to it. I think it's something odd, something around 270 seconds. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pause the video or cut it, and we'll come back and I'll tell you what it's reading, and we'll see if we go anywhere from there and derive any conclusions. All right, this is probably a very valuable video, probably more valuable than if I just run it straight through without any problems. This gives you an incredibly useful, I would say empirical evidence of why you need to have some type of a surge suppressor outside. And I like the ones now they have with a Bluetooth connection or a Wi-Fi connection where you can externally monitor it. But this is a great way to protect your coach before the power even gets to the coach. I'd much rather replace a $300 or $400 box or even a part that this actually can be fixed on the road somewhere, rather than sacrifice something on your coach which you may not be able to even get to, let alone find parts for. So let's run through what's happened here. Both my breakers are on. I'm going to shield the display because I'm sure you can't see it on the camera. What it's marching through is L1 is 118 with 0 amps. L2 is 119 with 0 amps. The problem I have is it's running anywhere from 60 to 68 hertz. Should be running flat 60 hertz roughly, but it's running over frequency, which I don't like, especially on our electronic coaches. I like it to be pretty steady. What bothers me though is, and I'm going to hold it up here in the shade, maybe, just maybe you can see it, is it shows you at the end of the displays, it'll march through, it'll show you an error code. Now what it shows you is error 0, PE2. So PE means past error 2. Error 2 on this is actually an open ground. No bueno. I'm not going to want to use this post, and I'll figure out what to do at another time. Your options, you can run your generator during the day to top off your batteries and then coast through the night through quiet time. You can keep it on 30 amp alone and just run 110 volts, which up here it's perfectly doable. I could certainly pass with an air conditioning. Kind of nice to have that dual, but I just might not even chance it and just run off of a single. But even still, folks, the issue I have here is, and it's kind of even a lesson for me because, granted, how many times do I test a 50 amp on a known park? Probably none. I mean, I do put a lot of trust in this Progressive box, and personally, I just would not want to run without it. I just want that safeguard, and more importantly, I want this diagnostic. So this wasn't supposed to be a video based on this EMS box, but it turns out it is. It was mainly to show you how important it is to test these dual 30 amps when you're going to do this dog bone splitter. Now I'm going to take you back over to the other post that we know at least had 240, and let's see what the Progressive box does over there. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, well, here is one good sign. I just now heard the EMS box click, powering on. That's roughly, 260, 270 seconds. And just for reference, I never heard it click on that other post because of that error. So I can tell you right now, I have confidence that this wiring setup is safe to use. So I am going to take a look at this display. I do, again, not think you're going to be able to see this. So I'm just going to shade it from you. You're just going to have to take my word for it. I'm going to read it out to you. L1, 121, 0 amps. L2, 118, 0 amps. Next will be your hertz, 60 hertz. But here's the important thing. E0, meaning normal wiring. Great reference, actually better content than I had planned. I hope this proves immensely valuable to you. It has me. Again, this is not a wiring class by any stretch, but I'll put a little link down below of where I got these charts. They can help you identify your hot and your neutrals, and it's very simple on a 30 amp plug. Just make sure you understand that these are called travel trailer 30 amp plugs. So they're different than another residential plug. Once again, I have to give this disclaimer as I'm not a certified electrician. I have a lot of experience with electronics and electricity and electrical connections and wiring, and even have a son-in-law who's a commercial electrician. So, I do have a lot of exposure, so I feel perfectly comfortable around this environment. If you don't feel comfortable around it, then I would strongly discourage you from doing any of this, all right? Plug into a 50, turn it on, life is good. Plug into a 30 amp alone, run a very modest amount of consumption, nothing 240 on your coach, and life will still be good, all right? If it all fails, throw on your generator, run your generator, you'll have full-blown, full power all day long, and then at night you can kind of cruise through, certainly keeping 30 amp to do nothing more than charging up your batteries overnight. It's still great, folks. I can do it. I've done it a lot. It's doable. It's just nice to have this two-legged, 240 on your coach. All right, so there you are. Again, any questions, feel free to fire away. And hey, do me a favor. Everyone says this, so I feel left out if I don't. Smack the like button down below. Supposedly, I can't prove it, it helps the algorithm to bring the videos up more than normal, than just laying them dormant. And if you feel so compelled, subscribe. Every now and again, I'll get some new content out. It's been busy. It's been full of trials this year, so I love your support and sticking with me, and hope to see you real soon. In the meantime, have a great day and safe travels.